What contingencies do you need inside of your contract for real estate wholesaling? Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Devin Knupp, and I'm just going to get straight to the point inside of this video. Now, let me preface it a little bit with a little bit of context inside of this video. And basically, you guys asked me this question a lot inside of my Instagram DMs. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it does get a little annoying here and there, seeing the same questions over and over again, but I really encourage you guys to ask me more questions on Instagram, and that's how I come up with a lot of the ideas that I make inside of my videos, like this one, for example. But right off the bat, as far as contingencies go inside of a contract, I highly recommend that you run it by a legal attorney, someone that can give you legal advice inside of your local state, because every state is a little bit different. But inside of today's video, I'm going to give you kind of what I know and kind of what I use and my knowledge as far as contingencies go, so that way you can have an edge, a competitive edge, as to knowing and understanding what you need to have inside of your contract when you get going. So in order for it to be a valid contract, you should probably have some of these contingencies, at least for wholesaling, in case you need to back out, in case you might lose the deal and then you don't want to have to be forced to buy this house or lose your earnest money deposit or whatever it may be. I'm just here helping you save some money, helping you stay out of trouble and everything goes. But before I start and give my own piece of advice, I have to say that I'm not a legal attorney. I'm not giving you guys legal advice whatsoever. And this is just kind of what I've seen. And obviously I'm not giving you guys advice. Now that's out of the way, I'm going to tell you guys what I put inside of my contracts. And so usually I like to do something along the lines of an inspection period clause. And so basically what an inspection period clause is saying like, hey, we will have an inspection period of, let's say, 14 days, and I can get some of my business partners rolling through there and just making sure that everything is what it looks like on the outside, making sure that the numbers work, making sure that all the circumstances are correct. And that's one of the biggest ones that I have in just about every contract that I have. I usually do 14 days. You can obviously do 7 days. You can even do 30 days. You can do as long as you want. But obviously you have to run it by the seller, and usually 14 days is enough time. And with this, I highly recommend that if you are going to do an inspection period and you're going to run buyers through the house, you get the seller an answer within 3 to 5 days. I recommend that you work like fire and get this done and not push it till the end, because the longer you push it out, the more upset the seller is. And if you can get an answer right away, then maybe they're a little bit more likely to renegotiate the deal a little bit and get it a little bit less than what you got it under contract for. So that way it gives you a little bit more margin of error and a little bit more money that you can make on the deal. But at the same time, like I said, you want to do it quickly. And when you do an inspection clause, you don't have to do a contractor. You don't have to have anyone special go through there. It's just your buyers. And you can just claim them as business partners, and that's all that matters. Just say, hey, I have a few business partners running through the house. Do you mind if they take a look? And obviously, I recommend that the seller isn't there just so it's less hassle, but it's not a problem if they're there. Just make sure the buyers know not to negotiate the deal or talk to the seller when they're inside the house. It's okay if they ask questions, but understand the line that they can have inside the house. You don't need them asking about price, the circumstances, or anything like that. Only ask about the specific property and not the circumstances or anything like that. That's what I always tell my buyers when they go in there. And so a couple others that I always like to put in there is subject to partner's approval. And really all that means is like anybody can be your partner. Your dog can be your partner. Your wife, your girlfriend, just some random person on the street can be your business partner. And it's not very specific as to who is the business partner. And so I usually like to have this one in there as well. I usually just run these two, the inspection period and the subject to partner's approval on the deal, just as like kind of a safekeeping, because subject to partner's approval, like I said, can mean anything. And so like just say something bad happens or you just really can't find a buyer, you can just say, hey, subject to partner's approval, we have to cancel the contract or whatever it may be. And like I said, these contingencies are just a safekeeping in case you make an error on the numbers or you get the deal in the contract and there's something wrong about it. It usually just breaks down to numbers or whatever it may be. If you can't find a buyer, it's probably because it's too high. And these two clauses that I use really cover that. And so a couple others that you can have inside of there. And I might be missing some on this list. So if there's something else that you use that I haven't said in this video, I highly appreciate it if you would drop it down in the comments down below, share some knowledge with everybody else. But something else that you can do as well is like you can do, I don't know how this one's worded because I haven't personally done it, but you can do like subject to the financing, being able to get the deal financed. So if you're doing like transactional funding or you're just trying to get the deal financed, whatever it may be, you can cancel the contract if the company that you're using to finance isn't able to finance the deal because of some weird circumstances. Maybe they don't have the money and you thought they did, whatever it may be. And this more applies to if you're going to pick up the house and turn it into a rental yourself, or wholesale it, or fix it and flip it yourself. This is kind of like a safekeeping measure as far as that goes. And then obviously I'd probably have something inside of there that states like if there's something that changes about the house in the time of when you get it on a contract and close the deal, if something happens, maybe a hole's put in the wall or something like that, then maybe you can at least renegotiate the contract or have them pay for it. I don't know exactly how you would word that. Most of the deals that I close, if I get it on a contract, I'm finding an answer within 3 to 5 days, and I try to close the deal within like a couple of weeks. I don't like to hold deals on too long. I don't like to kind of work the long run on some of these deals that I get on a contract. I don't like to tie people up. That's just kind of my worst fear. I don't like to tie people up and then me not be able to perform, which in return makes it so they have to lose their house because it was my fault. I don't want to be in that position, so I like to work like fire whenever I get a deal under contract, and I hope that you have the same values inside of your company. So with this, also another thing, I highly recommend that you run these contingencies by somebody that can give you legal advice inside of your state. Even if you have a family friend that's an attorney, or if you can talk to a title company, a lot of times they can give you a lot of free advice. But as far as the contingencies go, it's pretty straightforward and simple. And so now on top of that, if you get someone's contract, like I'll put a link down in the description down below. And majority of my videos about wholesaling, I put my contracts that I give out to people. And inside of there, like if a contract that you get doesn't have these contingencies, doesn't have it, whatever, you can always just add it into the contract. Just make sure it flows right, and you can word it. You can just just Google the different wording and everything just to make sure you have the wording right. But usually, like subject to partner's approval, inspection period of 14 days or something like that. The deal's contingent on an inspection period. You can just look up, just really use Google as a resource as far as like what to add in there if you need help on wording it, or if you can talk to a legal consultant on how you should word inside the contracts. But if someone ever doesn't have it in there, just put it down into the contract somewhere. Now, here's another big thing, and obviously I'm not giving you guys legal advice, but as far as the contracts go, they really don't matter. I know you probably hate to hear this, or it's kind of like scary to think of it like that they don't really matter all that much. But to be truthful and honest with you guys, all you really need is a motivated seller. And if the seller is motivated enough and willing to work with you and you've built a lot of rapport, it really doesn't matter what's inside of the contracts, because as long as you got it like a one-on-one relationship and you build a lot of rapport with the seller, if something goes south, chances are they'll be pretty understanding as far as what you need to do. And if you got a really motivated seller and you built up the rapport, chances are you can renegotiate if you have any problems whatsoever with the deal. And as far as my understanding goes, if you have to cancel the contract and you don't, like, it runs against these contingencies, all you really lose is your earnest money deposit. I haven't really heard stories of people being like forced to buy the house if they had to cancel the contract. It's just you lose your earnest money, which another thing that I didn't really ever understand, and you probably don't understand either because I don't think people talk about enough of it, is your earnest money, you need to take it to the title company or give it to the seller like immediately within, like, I think I get like 2 to 3 days inside of my state, and I need to, earnest money has to be deposited by then. So if you get it low enough, like if it's $10, like if you get a $10 earnest money deposit and you go against one of these contingencies and all you lose is your earnest money, you're obviously not losing very much money. Now, as far as like how low, like how much you need to get the earnest money for and how to get it at a super low rate where you don't have to give them thousands of dollars, then I want you to check out this video right here. I'm gonna break it all down inside that video, and I will see you inside of there. Also, if you need the contracts for real estate wholesaling, I will have it down in the description down below, and right here I will break down how to use the contracts and what scenarios you need the contracts for. So check out one of these 2 videos. I'll see you inside of there.